All right, today we're going to piece together the absolutely harrowing story of what happened at the Gardner farm on Sentinel Hill. It's a real autopsy of a cosmic tragedy, and we're pulling this all from local reports that watched this whole crisis unfold, right from its strange, kind of innocent beginning to its, well, its devastating end.
Yeah, those were the last known words of Nahum Gardner, found just scrawled on a farmhouse rafter. I mean, talk about a chilling epitaph for a tragedy that just consumed an entire family. So what happened? What do these words actually mean? Well, that's what we're here to unravel.
So where does a story like this even begin? Well, believe it or not, it doesn't start with terror. It starts with wonder. Back in June of 2025, something fell from the sky and landed right in a farmer's field. And at first, it was just this object of scientific curiosity, a bit of local excitement. Nobody had any idea of the dread that was right around the corner.
And his timeline? Wow. It really gives you a stark roadmap of just how fast this all went wrong. Think about it. What starts as this cool celestial event in June just spirals into a full-blown nightmare. By August, the land itself is blighted. A couple months later, in October, the family is sick. And by November, they're just gone. So, how on earth did it all happen? Okay, so right off the bat, this was not your ordinary meteorite. Not even close. From the second it hit the ground, it was just weird. Professor Winters, he was the lead scientist from Miskatonic University, and he saw it right away. He noted all these unusual properties. It resisted every attempt at analysis. It was supermagnetic. And, get this, it seemed to be shrinking, like the Earth itself was just absorbing it.
Fast forward 2 months. That initial scientific mystery, it had completely curdled into something deeply, deeply unsettling. The Gardner farm, a place that was known for its amazing produce, was now, well, it was the site of a harvest that was bizarre, unnatural, and frankly just wrong.
And this just perfectly illustrates the change. Look at this. The very soul of the farm was being rewritten. I mean, the fruits grew to these huge, freakish sizes, but they were totally inedible, tasted like chemicals. The well water, once crystal clear, now shimmered with this unnatural taint. Even the grass was shifting into these prismatic colors that botanists had never seen before. This wasn't decay, you guys. This was a hostile transformation. So the scientists, with Professor Winters leading the charge, they were forced to a pretty terrifying conclusion. They weren't dealing with a rock at all. They were dealing with a life form, or something like a life form. They ended up calling it the color. And it wasn't just contaminating the farm, you see. It was metabolizing it. It was seeping into the soil, into the water, and literally rewriting life on a cellular level.
And listen to Professor Winters' choice of words here. Assimilation. That one word is so important. It confirms this wasn't some poison you could just flush out of the system. No, this was an entity that was actively making the ecosystem part of itself. And the warning couldn't have been clearer. People were next on the menu.
And that's exactly what happened. The focus of this horror story now shifts from the blighted land to the living creatures on it. The color started to take this awful physical and psychological toll, first on the livestock, and then, inevitably, on the Gardner family themselves.
The first real body count came from the animals. 8. 8 of Nahum Gardner's prized Holstein cows just dropped dead. And the vets, they were completely baffled. They couldn't find any known disease, no toxin. The only way they could describe it was unprecedented tissue degradation. It's like the very life was just being siphoned right out of them.
And it wasn't long after that that the family, and even some of their neighbors, started reporting this whole host of just horrifying symptoms. And look at this list. This wasn't just a physical sickness, it was an attack on the senses. We're talking phantom pains, migraines, hearing colors. Their minds were just starting to fray under this constant, relentless, alien assault.
Then, in early November, the crisis hit a whole new level of terror. Merwin Gardner, the youngest son, just 7 years old, vanished. Right from his bed. The only clues they found were these weird glowing smudges on the windowsill and a trail of tracks leading to a sinkhole near where that meteor first landed. He became the first human casualty.
And from that point on, the end came incredibly fast. Those final days in late November for the Gardner family, it was just a cascade of one horror after another as the colors assimilation process hit its terrible, tragic peak. So, Abigail Gardner, the mother,
She had a complete breakdown. And her medical diagnosis? Absolutely chilling. On paper, the doctors called it exposure to an exotic neurotoxin. But the brain scans told a much scarier story. They found lesions in her brain that seemed to be alive, pulsing like living fractals. I mean, can you even imagine? Picture this. Medical teams in full hazmat suits are taking his wife away, and Nahum Gardner just says it. He voices this hopeless realization that's finally dawned on him. This wasn't something outside attacking them anymore. The entity was inside them. It was a part of them, and there was absolutely no escape.
Abigail passed away just hours before they found her husband's body. And her final words, which were captured on a body cam, they weren't a prayer. They weren't a plea for help. No, they were like a declaration of victory for the thing that had taken her over. The color, it's free.
And that brings us full circle right back to where we started. A National Guard team found Nahum's body, completely desiccated, up in the farmhouse attic. And that note he left? It was the most stark, simple summary of the whole nightmare you could imagine. Something alien came, it took everything, and now it's all gone.
So, with the Gardner family gone, it seemed like the entity's work on Sentinel Hill was complete. The immediate aftermath was just as bizarre as its arrival, really. The color was getting ready to leave, with nothing but pure devastation left behind.
On the very same night they found Nahum's body, the whole hill just erupted. Eyewitnesses all described the same thing, this silent pillar of light, not white light, but some other color, shooting straight up from the crater into the night sky, and then just vanishing. The entity had finished its meal, and it was heading back to whatever void it came from.
And this is the grim final accounting. The finality of it is just laid bare here, an entire family just systematically erased from existence. The parents, we know they died from this xenobiological assimilation, but the kids, they're just gone, vanished into the woods, or maybe consumed by the hill itself.
You know, maybe the best final words on this come from Amy Pierce. He was the neighbor who saw this whole tragedy unfold from the beginning. And he put it perfectly. His words just capture the heart of the struggle. It was a fight against something you just can't know, an enemy that doesn't play by our world's rules.
So, the farmhouse was burned to the ground. The land is completely barren now, and all those weird spectral readings, they're gone. The official story is that the entity left, but it seeped into the soil, right? Into the water, into the very bedrock of that hill. And that leaves us with one final, really unsettling question to think about. Are we really, truly sure that it's all gone?